Should we begin? Okay. I call this meeting to order. Please stand for the flag salute and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Laura, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Sotile.
Present.
Commissioner Moros, I see is absent. Commissioner Serco? Got it. Commissioner Pollack-Rude, I do see is absent. And Commissioner Baez?
Present.
Okay, 3 commissioners present, 2 absent.
Right. We started a little late this evening because we were waiting for the other 2 commissioners to show up. So nonetheless, we're starting without them. Okay. Welcome to the El Cajon Planning Commission meeting. This meeting is being live streamed on the City of El Cajon website. Appeals of final decisions of the Planning Commission made this evening must be filed in writing with the City Clerk before 5 p.m. Tuesday, May 31st, 2022, and must include the payment of a filing fee. If you wish to speak on either a non-agenda or an agenda item tonight, please fill out a request to speak card located by the agenda and turn it into the secretary, who will call you up to speak when the agenda item comes up for public comment. We ask that you give us your name, spelling your last name. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. The display on the podium, as well as the other monitors in the chambers, will show time counting down. At 30 seconds, the podium clock readout will turn red, signifying you have 30 seconds until the end of your time. Applicants and individuals representing groups of people may be allowed more time if appropriate. All public hearing comments should be addressed to me as the chair of the commission and not to individual commissioners or to staff members. Please turn off all electronic devices if you have not already done so. Pursuant to City Council Resolution number 114-79, a commissioner who has received evidence related to a matter before the Planning Commission, other than an unescorted view of the subject property, is required to disclose such information at the hearing. At this time, we will take comments from any member of the public on any item of business within the jurisdiction of the Commission that is not on the agenda. Under state law, no action can be taken on items brought forward under public comment except to refer it to staff or administration or place it on a future agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to address the Commission under public comment? Please come forward. Next item is the consent calendar. A single motion will cover all items on the consent calendar. Does the Commission wish to pull a consent calendar item for discussion?
No.
Okay. Does the staff wish to pull a consent calendar item for discussion?
No, thank you.
So do we have a motion?
I move to adopt the minutes.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Seco, second by Commissioner Valles. Please vote.
A motion carried, 3 commissioners present, unanimous.
Okay, thank you very much. The Planning Commission's action on any item is final unless a payment is made with a filing fee no later than 5 p.m. on Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. Okay. The second item that we have is St. Madeline's Sophie Center expansion, demolition, a single-family dwelling, and construct a new multi-purpose building and associated site improvements. It's CEQA exempt, and staff recommendation is approved. Staff?
Thank you, Chair. Just 1 minute while we adjust the presentation. There we go. Sorry about that. We had tested that before the meeting, but now we have it all squared away. So thank you again, Chair. This is a proposed expansion of St. Madeline's Sophie Center, which is an educational and training facility that serves individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So the project does propose the demolition of a residence at 2113 and 2115 East Madison Avenue, and then the construction of a new multipurpose building which will have offices, classrooms, and meeting space. Additional site improvements will include landscaping, entrance and exit ramps to the new building, and stormwater treatment areas. The new building is proposed to allow the senior program additional space, which operates in an existing building on the site. So no increase in enrollment. The current enrollment is proposed, but staff is requesting that maximum enrollment be clarified with this request, which I'll discuss a little bit later in the presentation. So here you can see the existing site shown in red. It's on the south side of East Madison Avenue between Valley Rim Road and Camelot Parkway. And then now I've added the expansion site, which is 2113 and 2115 East Madison Avenue, shown in yellow here. So this is a view from the street looking south towards 2113 and 2115 East Madison Avenue. You can see the single-family home at the closest to the street, and then there's the accessory dwelling unit further down the driveway to the right behind the accessory or behind the existing house. So the general plan designation for the site is low density residential, and the zoning is RS20, which is half-acre residential lots. Overall, the existing campus is 4.7 acres, and the half-acre expansion for the single-family home site will increase the overall campus size to approximately 5.1 acres. So for the enrollment, the state licensed enrollment for the facility is 400. The last expansion of the campus actually happened back in 2002 when they built the multipurpose and administration building further down East Madison towards Greenfield. At that time, they didn't specify the maximum enrollment as part of that conditional use permit amendment. Previous to that, it had been 200, but there was contradictory evidence in the file from 2002. So we know that the site has been approved and operating, or approved with a maximum enrollment of 400 by the state, and has been able to operate in a compatible fashion since that last amendment to the conditional use permit dating back to 2002. So the staff recommendation in conjunction with this amendment is just to clarify the maximum enrollment at 400 so that there's no further issues moving forward. So here you can see the proposed building elevations. So the bottom of this slide shows the elevation that would be visible from East Madison Avenue. And then here is the second set of elevations. You can see the earth tone brown and beige palette will blend in with the surrounding residential neighborhood. And then the overall design does use variations in wall planes and changes in roof lines in order to provide additional detail. So in order to approve the requested conditional use permit, the Planning Commission must make the required findings that are shown on this slide. So staff's analysis within the staff report shows that the proposed use is consistent with the general plan and the zoning if the conditional use permit is approved, that the proposed building does comply with the required development standards, then that the use has operated in a compatible fashion with surrounding properties and uses for over 50 years with minimal complaints and has not been detrimental to the public health, safety, and general welfare. And then lastly, that the proposed expansion will serve the public convenience and necessity by providing a modern facility that meets the educational needs of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So one public inquiry was received in response to the public hearing notice. The caller did ask for additional information, but ultimately expressed no concerns with the proposed conditional use permit. The project does qualify for a CEQA exemption under Class 3. Class 3 does allow new construction of structures consistent with the general plan and zoning of up to 10,000 square feet. And then lastly, staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt the next resolutions in order approving the CEQA exemption and conditional use permit number 2020-0011, subject to the conditions in the resolutions. So that concludes staff's presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Noah. I believe the new construction is around 6,000 square feet, approximately.
Correct. Just a little bit under 5,900 square feet.
Okay, very good. I don't have any further questions. Fellow commissioners, do you have any questions, staff?
I have two questions, and these are probably questions for the applicant. But when I was reading through the staff notes, I did not note that this was a newly acquired property. I thought this was part of the St. Madeline's property. And as such, I was looking at that garden in the back because I've always seen the sign for Sophie's Garden. I thought that was where Sophie's Garden was located, but maybe it's somewhere else.
Right. It won't be, the existing campus won't be impacted by this conditional use permit amendment. So the entirety of the new multipurpose building would be on that 2113 and 2115 East Madison residential property.
Okay. So this doesn't affect any of the rest of the property.
Correct.
Commissioner Valles, do you have any questions of staff? No? Yeah, I don't either. So we'll open it up to public comment. Laura?
Yes, I have a speaker card from the project applicant, or from Deborah Emerson of St. Madeleine Sophie's Center.
Thank you.
Good evening, Planning Commissioner and staff. Thank you for having us here. This project's been a long time. We bought that property over 10 years ago. The original owner called me one day, 93 years old, and asked us if we wanted to purchase it. We just have not developed it at all since that time. And now we have raised the funds to develop it, and we're really in a need for a senior program. Our seniors are down in an inadequate building. The bathrooms are not in the building, and just a lot of accessibility problems there, too. So this will give them their own space. We serve seniors from 55 to 85 years old with disabilities. So this is a really special project, so we're really excited to be here tonight. And I just want to thank staff for helping us through this and everybody else that has helped us raise the funds to do the building. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yes, Ms. Emerson. For the benefit of the secretary, could you spell Emerson for us?
I'm so sorry. Emerson. I know better, too.
That's fine. Thank you very much. I like the way the building looks. Who did the design for you?
Our architect's right here, Michael Merrill's right here. And the property was a difficult property, if you know how it comes down from Madison, lower than the street. So we put the patio on the back side so our seniors can go out on the patio, too. And then the front entrance is towards our garden. So there'll be, I think that was another piece of the plan that was more difficult, was getting to make sure that we had enough room to do the driveway and people coming back out. But it is attached to the garden, so they'll be able to utilize the garden also.
Wonderful. That's good. Fellow commissioners, do you have any question of Ms. Emerson?
Out of curiosity, and this maybe not have any bearing on the decision here, but in the satellite image, it looks like there's vineyards or some kind of garden at the back end of the property. What's been going on there?
We had a vineyard.
Oh, it was a
yeah,
vineyard.
we did
Okay.
have a vineyard. I think we got 4 cases of wine out of it, and it's still aging. And we had trouble with the vines. You know, vines, if you don't treat them right, don't grow as they should. So,
Yeah.
but we did get one batch of wine, and I think we did jelly one year. So we do use our property. We have a lot of citrus. We make marmalade, things like that, from the things that we grow on the campus.
Very cool. I did note that your ramp from the back end does a couple extra turns to make it.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
I think this also, that road was one of our original, because our address is 2119, and that's where all our utilities came to. I learned that the hard way, up at the top of the garden. So,
Yeah.
So I remember when I was about 12, 13, or 14, I used to make wine with my father. Mm-hmm. And I was stomping on the grapes because we didn't get a crusher that year with the boots. And as the juice came out, I used to drink a little bit, and I was getting a little tipsy. And I'm going, really, this wine ferments very quickly.
Right.
So is the wine is to keep the seniors happy?
no, it's to keep us happy. But I think El Cajon, East County, has so many great vineyards here locally. We were trying to do a backyard vineyard at the time, and so that's what we were trying to do at that particular time.
Very good. Any other questions?
No, I just want to say that as someone who works with disabled children, I know that it's important to be able to have enrichment programs, and we've done so well with our medical care that these children do grow up to be adults and then go on to be seniors, and sometimes get forgotten. So I think it's awesome that there's going to be something that these seniors will have a space of their own, because it's very different than what a 10-year-old disabled child is going to need, because there's aging, just the stuff that happens to all of us, even with aging on top of everything else. So
And mobility.
And mobility
is a
and everything.
huge thing. St. Madeline's has been there since '65 in that area, and we still have probably about a dozen of our students were there as children. So the property has developed, and it has, keep growing with what we need to do for that population. And we were one of the first senior programs in the county for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
yeah, because my understanding is it's very difficult to find
Yes.
programs like that. So it'll be nice to have something where it's been expanded.
Yeah,
for that,
our
so.
seniors are very excited. I have my senior manager here, Mark Fisher, and our general manager, Tom Carr. So we're very excited. And my board president, Judy Mantle, and Ginger Bertus, and my assistant, Laura Purdom. So I better say thank you for being here tonight. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
I
Thank you
think-
very much.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
We have a second speaker card. Mr. Michael Merrill is the project architect. He is here in support and is here to answer questions, but just said he does not need to speak.
Okay. Mr. Merrill, you want to come up and see if the commissioners have any questions? Give us your name and spelling your last name, please.
My name is Michael Merrill, Merrill.
Thank you.
And I'm obviously here in support of the project. I also believe personally in the charitable purpose of the foundation and support it myself. And so I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about the architecture.
Thank you. Fellow commissioners? Yes.
Well, I would love to hear a little bit about maybe some of the ADA type things that you have incorporated in to enter the building, and then maybe within the building as well.
Well, the building presents an extreme challenge as far as the grades go. So the building is kind of padded out between the street and the lower portion. So there's a ramp that serves people coming up the side. It's all one story, no level changes, so there's no elevators or stairs required. The bathrooms are all fully compliant, and all the spaces are fully ADA accessible. All the countertops, there's for the build, when the build out happens, I'm sure the provisions will be made for students with disabilities for countertops, heights, and that will all be done.
Any other questions?
Not a question, but I compliment you on your design, especially with that slope at the front end of the property.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you very much.
I'd also like to thank your staff, who are very helpful and very expeditious compared to a lot of the other cities I work in. Thank you.
They're good at what they do. Yes. Okay. Laura, any other speaker cards?
No, that's the last one.
Okay. Well, I move to close public hearing.
I'll second it, correct?
Motion made by Commissioner Sotile, second by Commissioner Valle. Please vote. Okay.
A motion carries unanimously by those commissioners present.
Okay, let's, what say you?
Well, I'm just going to say, I mean, it looks like a beautiful project, and they've had the property for a long time. I did forget to ask if anyone's been living in the property since it was purchased in '93. Renter, okay. I know there's such a big concern and all this talk about, housing and housing shortages, and I honestly don't believe that losing 2 homes is going to make some dramatic difference in our housing in El Cajon. But certainly this new building is going to have a major positive impact in the lives of these people that really have needed something like this for a long time. So I just wanted to make sure I said that out there, because we have so many meetings about, what's the density and how are we coming up with affordable housing and things. So, I mean, I think it's a great, if you're going to have to do a trade-off, I think this is a great use of the space.
Amen.
And the mission of St. Madeline's is very focused on an area that not many people focus on. And it's a very well-designed building.
Yes, I agree. Well, I agree everything that my fellow commissioners have stated, and I think you're doing good work. And I think we need more organizations like yours to do the work that you're doing currently right now. There's a need out there, and we need more people doing the same thing. Thank you for doing your work here in El Cajon City and being a good part of the city. We appreciate that very much. So, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the next resolution in order, approving the CEQA exemption in CUP number 2020-0011, subject to conditions.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Circo, second by Commissioner Valles. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously by members present.
Very good. Thank you. The third item that we have, should I go ahead and...
Well, I believe it's over to Commissioner Circo.
Yeah, if I may, I do work for Shadow Mountain Community Church, so I must recuse myself for this.
Right. So should I make the announcement yet or no?
There aren't anything to pass has to pass by 2/3 of the full commission, which is not present. But since this is a noticed meeting, if anyone would like to speak, anyone here would like to speak, and then this would be noticed to a future meeting when all of the commissioners or 4 of the commissioners are present.
Okay. Staff, do you want to make a presentation then, since we're going to open up to public comments?
Yes, I would be happy to make the presentation.
Okay. All right. This number 3 is Shadow Mountain Community Church fireworks display. The request is a fireworks display on July 2nd and July 3rd, 2022, and a CEQA exempt, and staff recommendation is approve. However, if you'll note that we don't have a quorum, so we need at least 3 people. So we cannot vote on it this evening, but we can give the public the information on this particular item in the meantime. Okay? Staff?
Great. Thank you, Chair. So again, this is, So again, this is a proposed fireworks display for July 2nd and 3rd of 2022 at the Shadow Mountain Community Church at 2100 Greenfield Drive. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties one more time with the presentation. I apologize.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for your patience. So this project, for the project description, you can see here, it proposes a fireworks display on both of the nights, July 2nd and July 3rd, with the fireworks display to commence between 8:30 p.m. and 9 p.m., and then last for up to 15 minutes. On-site viewing is proposed to occur north of the worship center, where an outdoor worship service will occur prior to the fireworks display. The fireworks will be launched or proposed to be launched from the baseball field on the southeast portion of the site. So here you can see the site plan. On the left side of the screen where the yellow line is Greenfield Drive, and then you can see the baseball field circled in green. So the zoning code does allow fireworks display with the approval of a conditional use permit. This slide shows the proposed conditions of approval in order to ensure compatibility with surrounding properties and uses. So first, temporary signage is recommended to alert the neighborhood 10 days prior to the event. Shell diameters are proposed to be limited to 3 inches. So for reference, this is the same size limitation that is required for the annual fireworks display at Grand Hills High School for their homecoming. Additionally, for reference, the city fireworks display on the 4th of July at Kennedy Park typically uses larger shells. They go up to 4-inch diameter in size. And then for safety purposes, an operational permit from Heartland Fire and Rescue will be required for the event. So Sean Richardson, our fire marshal, is present tonight, and I'd like to invite him up to the dais at the conclusion of this summary. He can address any of the safety concerns related to the event. So in order to approve the requested conditional use permit, the Planning Commission must make the required findings that are shown on this slide. Staff's analysis within the staff report shows that the proposed use is consistent with the general plan and zoning if a conditional use permit is approved, that the proposed display does comply with the required development standards, and that compatibility can be achieved through proper notice to the public and because of the short duration for the event. That the operational permit from Heartland Fire and Rescue will ensure that the event is conducted in a safe manner. And then lastly, that the public convenience and necessity is served through the conduct of an event that supports community pride. So 2 public inquiries were received. The first caller asked for additional information and then ultimately expressed no objections. A second inquiry was received via email and objects to the event based on fire safety. Copies of that email have been provided to each of the commissioners prior to tonight's meeting. As stated earlier, the project does qualify for a CEQA exemption under Class 4, which does allow for temporary events with negligible environmental effects. And staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt the next resolutions in order, approving the CEQA exemption for the conditional use permit subject to the conditions. So at this time, with the chair's concurrence, I'd like to invite Sean Richardson, our fire marshal, up to the dais to address the operational permit and respond to any safety questions.
Okay.
Good evening, Planning Commission, staff. Sean Richardson, R-I-C-H-A-R-D-S-O-N, Fire Marshal with Heartland Fire and Rescue. Are there any questions I can answer?
Yes. When the fireworks explode into the air, what is the possibility of any ambers falling to the ground? Do they dissipate by the time they get to the ground? Or?
Yes. And so typically they're designed to have dissipate and lost most of their heat retention by the time they hit the ground. with the exclusion of a misfire or something going wrong with the chute, it's a very minimal risk. And after talking with our operations chief, Ben Coe, we will be assigning an engine company to stand by during this event just in case we do have an ember start. But it's very unlikely.
Yeah, and the company that's going to be doing it is a professional pyrotechnic company?
Yes, they're licensed and bonded and registered with the state, licensed by the California State Fire Marshal.
Right, okay. So primarily concern is the fires, especially in that particular area.
Yes, sir.
And also the noise issue. It's going to last about 15 minutes. Yeah, okay, very good. And you don't see any problem with that whatsoever?
I think we're taking the appropriate mitigation measures to make it a safe event. We'll have an engine company on standby. My fire inspectors and most likely myself will be on site during the day to inspect the event, ensure it's compliant with code and state law, and ensure that there's safe handling of the product. I believe we're mitigating the event as best we can.
Okay. Right, thank you. Commissioner Valles, do you have any questions?
Well, I will say you kind of answered it with that last one about being on site. Because my understanding typically for a licensed technician, they even have to go through training of being able to properly put out if something were to misfire or have that would also put their life at risk, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, and their bond and their liability, they're required to have fire extinguishers on site and be trained in their use. And in our experience, they're a very responsive company. In addition, we will have professional firefighting staff on scene at the time of the shoot.
So the only other question I guess I would have, just being a San Diego resident for, I'm not going to say how many years, but that we have red flag warnings and we have certain things. If that was to happen that weekend, because it could happen in July, we typically are more in September. It seems like in October. But if we happen to have a red flag warning for that weekend, would that put an end to any fireworks displays, not only on the 2nd or 3rd, but even potentially on the 4th if it was going on, or not as long as all these things?
Potentially, it could impact the event. It would be part of the operational permit required by the California Fire Code, so we have to take into factor climatic and atmospheric conditions. So if we do have a red flag event, we would assess the duration of the event and see if it coordinated with the shoot times and mitigate it as best we can. But it would be a consideration, and it would be tied to the operational permit.
Okay. So it doesn't mean just because they got a permit, they
Correct.
can go ahead and go through with this. We're still going to assess safety.
Absolutely. It's a continual assessment throughout the day.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commission, staff.
Open up public hearing. Okay. Laura, do we have any speaker cards?
Yes, we have one speaker, Tina Shaw, has requested to speak.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Tina Shaw, S-H-A-W. I'm a resident of the Granite Hills area and have been a resident for 59 years, I'll admit that. And I'm here to speak on the impact that fireworks have on our neighborhood. We're a neighborhood with lots of animals. Myself, I have dogs and horses, and the explosions from the fireworks cause a tremendous amount of stress. We see an increase in lost animals after the fireworks, especially after our July 4th fireworks. And for the horses, they tend to run for the entirety. And in our neighborhood now, there seems to be a trend when there's an announcement of county fireworks, city fireworks, that we have a lot of illegal gunshots in the area. We have a lot of illegal fireworks that go off for hours. So in my situation with my horses, I have some geriatric horses, and it's not necessarily feasible to move them out. And so I'd like you to picture the fact that there's horses on the property that will be running for hours, even after the fireworks stop. And that's like having a 90-year-old person running in circles. It does a tremendous amount of damage to them. Now with the request for the church to ask for 2 additional days of fireworks, we in the neighborhood are going to have 3 in a row consecutive fireworks evenings. And the amount of stress added to our animals is very concerning. It's a high probability that there's going to be greater medical risks. I have one horse in particular I would see probably passing away because he doesn't handle it well. The conversations among our community of Granite Hills is how they can get drugs so they can drug their dogs. And, you know, people were trying to be conscious. But my biggest concern is having 3 consecutive days of fireworks. And by the 3rd, I'm talking about the July 4th, the big fireworks from the city. I just am very concerned. I don't think it's respectful to our neighborhood to ask the residents to subject their animals to that. I don't think it's reasonable to ask us, if that was to happen, to just move out for those 3 days. So I just wanted to bring in the aspect of those of us in the neighborhood with animals and our concerns and how it impacts our animals. So I appreciate your time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah. Ms. Shaw, are there other neighbors that have likewise horses and dogs?
Yes, yes, and there's quite a chatter. We have a Facebook page, the Granite Hills Community, and there's quite a chatter and concern regarding that. I wanted to make a point to bring that to you. I know people are very busy in their lives, and some are intimidated to come to a council meeting to say their piece. But yeah, we are in an area, our zoning is 1 acre minimum in our area, so most homes have animals of assortments, not just horses and dogs and cats, but of others.
And how far are you from the baseball field?
I am about a half mile from the baseball field. I am just a few hundred yards from the Granite Hills football field, which is where the July 4th ones are. So the July 4th fireworks are shot pretty much straight over the top of my house.
And how long do those last usually?
Well, the whole celebrations, because as I talked about the illegal activities that go on in our neighborhood, they start about 4 o'clock during the day, and they go until probably 2 or 3 in the morning. But the legal ones usually are anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes on the July 4th.
And how have the animals reacted to those fireworks?
They act in a difficult way. I mean, I've had dogs that have torn through their fences, climbed 8-foot chain link fences and run, and, it's taken us a day to find them. I've had others where I have one currently I have to lock in a room, put cotton in the ears while I'm outside checking on the horses. I've had horses go through fences. I had a horse rip kind of the whole side of his face off because he had his head in the feeder when the first firework went off, and so it tore his ear off and it tore top of his scalp. So we had to go through months of rehab on him. You've had other major things, like especially with the older horses where they pretty much can't walk. It would be like me going out and running a marathon and then trying to walk the next week. So you have to medicate them for their, old joints and things like that. They're just a whole litany. As I said, I've been here, 59 years and through many of fireworks for both the high school and for the city. And we appreciate the notification. And again, fireworks are beautiful, and we do have to contend with how it affects our animals. But again, my biggest concern is having 3 days to ask these animals to go through it consecutively.
Right. Okay, let me ask my fellow commissioner if she has any questions. Commissioner Valles, do you have any questions of Ms. Shaw?
Yes, just a couple.
Sure.
So I know you commented that in the community, people were talking about like getting, I'll say drugs for their animals.
Yes.
But have there been other preventative therapies that maybe aren't necessarily,
Yeah.
medications, but other things that can ever be done?
In
help?
conversation, they have those thunder vests and things that were supposedly help some animals for thunderstorms and things like that. There's been conversations about people who have dogs buying thunder vests, buying CBD products, buying other prescription medications to, like dog Valium, I don't know what it's called, and things like that on that. With horses, there's really nothing we can do for them. We can't drug them, and things like that, because they can do more damage if they're sedated and then they try and run, and that's when they can trip and fall or, and things like that. There was suggestions years ago to just get up and move your animals out for the day. Well, and there has been times like when I've had young foals that are just, a few months old that, you get the mare and foal and drag them out and haul them around. I've driven around till fireworks are done and come back. But some of the older horses, you can't get in trailers anymore, so they're there. And that makes it difficult. There are other livestock animals that the families don't have trailering options to be able to haul them out. Some people have goats and pigs and things like that in the area. So it's always a conversation for us when fireworks are coming up to help us prepare. And again, we're happy for the notification so we can prepare. But it's asking a lot of us with 3 consecutive days of fireworks. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Any others?
No, thank you.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Laura, are there any other speaker cards?
There are no other speaker cards.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask, do we need to read the email into the record?
No, it'll be included in the final record, and so it's been presented and summarized.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So do we continue the meeting?
Yes, so based on the lack of a quorum, staff's recommendation would be to continue to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is June 7th. So that's the recommended action from staff.
Okay. Would that be enough time to get permits and things like that?
So it would be sufficient time for the applicant to continue processing their operational permit with Heartland Fire and Rescue, and then that would additionally allow time should the decision by the Planning Commission be appealed to the City Council.
Okay. So, Barbara, do I close public hearing or just say continue to the next at the next
The
time?
public hearing will remain open.
Open?
And
Okay, until the
continue
next
to
time.
Next.
All right. Should we vote on that? Because there's no option.
It would remain open, so we'll call Paul Serco back, and then you can decide whether to.
So this meeting will continue until the next meeting time, which will be June
7th.
June 7th.
June 7th at 7 p.m. for all those who would like to come. Okay. Are there any other items for consideration, or is there any staff communication?
No additional staff communications. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any reports to make, or notification? None? Okay. Very good. Well, I move to adjourn the meeting until June 7th, 2022 at 7 p.m.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Sotile, seconded by Commissioner Valles. Please vote. Okay.
Unanimous with members present.
Right. Thank you for being here this evening. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm.